Yeah, that's what it says on the show.
Am I up first?
Sure. Go for it.
My photo was up there a minute ago, but my head's so big, only half of it fit up there. I'm Tim Delworth, and I'm from the math department, or as I titled this one, Our Lady of Mathematics Reformed. And I'm here, to talk about our experience, and I'll give a little bit of background. I've been teaching large lectures for about 10 years here, and I did what I was told to do, which was go into a large lecture and teach, and that's what I did. And I knew we had to make changes, but I didn't know how because the chairs are bolted to the floor, and physical plant gets upset when you bring a wrench in. So, and I got thinking about my 10-year-old. He can flip pancakes. My 10-year-old Carter, and he can flip them because he spent about a year making a huge amount of mess flipping pancakes. We cleaned up a lot of pancakes in our house. But right now he's a really good pancake flipper because he got his hands dirty. He got messy. And that's what the students have to do. They have to get involved. And I walk into that large lecture area and they get glossy and they stare at the clock just waiting for that sweet release of 20 after. And I knew we had to make changes. And like I said, I didn't know how to. And so last spring, a couple things happened. I was told that in the fall I'd be teaching in Witherall 200, and I'm like, oh good God, it's a balcony. And then the other thing that happened to me was my department head came to me and told me about this initiative, Impact, and that the math department had to stop saying no to everything. and then he thanked me for volunteering. But I was ready for a change. I was ready for a change anyway. So here's my experience. So we met all summer in our impact group. We exchanged ideas. I can't stress enough how rewarding that part was, just being in the group. I was the only one from the College of Science that was there. What I thought I was going to do and what I'm doing are two totally different things. I had no idea going into it what I was going to come out with. And so let me give you an experience. In the last fall, I'm teaching a lecture of 180, 200 students. Everyone stayed in the class up through exam 1, and then 30 students self-selected to go into my impact section. And my impact section only met one time a week instead of 3 times. We met for 75 minutes. The students were instructed to watch the online lessons for 75 minutes. And then we spent the 75 minutes working. And we went really high tech. These are huddle boards, and there's a bunch of them down there. And students were put in groups of 3, and they were given problems, and we spent 75 minutes working in math. And they made mistakes, and they argued with each other, and there was a lot of interaction. And by the time it was over, the students understood it. And it was amazing, the process. The students that self-selected were about average after exam 1, a couple points above the average. And my first order of business was to do no harm. Because I didn't want to mess these 30 kids up really bad. I determined the grades, I could have fixed it. But, the department hates when I say that. Well, what happened was on exam 2, so then they only met with me half the time that we were supposed to meet with me. And now in exam 2, they were still a couple points above the average. Same as they were on exam 1. And exam 3, they were a couple points, nothing changed. They met with me half the time they were supposed to meet normally, and they ended up with almost the exact same results. But the student comments were fantastic. One student wrote, I love being in a Thursday class. Of course, it's a student comment, so there's a lot of explanation points. I love being part of the Thursday class. It was helpful to see the different ways other students thought through the problems. I enjoyed the new section of the course, and only having class on Thursdays, so that helped. And they loved the extra practice and the interaction. So their averages were pretty much the same, but 2 things happened. The attendance rate was near 100%. The 30 kids that went into it, I had 3 weeks where there was 100% attendance, and then there'd be 1 kid missing, and then there might be 2. The other thing happened, my DFW rate was 3% out of this section. Small sample size, self-selected to get in, so we can argue the statistics. Where my normal course is between 20 and 30% DFW rate. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed teaching it. I was originally a high school teacher 20 years ago, and I felt like I was back in the classroom and actually doing some good work. So that was my experience. I'll turn it over.